And we are back.
We are back, bumble bitches.
All right. So I have a couple things that I want to get into this morning before we go and get into emails. I asked the chat on YouTube here, what is an example of a life-altering decision or life-altering event?
Okay.
And I got some answers, and I'm going to just quickly skim through and read some of them.
Okay, I'm going to think of my answer.
Terminal illness was the first one. Mm-hmm. Having a child, a death in the family, TBI, separation/divorce, career change, some kind of assault, getting diagnosed with cancer, getting married is a life-altering event. I actually like that answer. That was a good one. Wasn't expecting that one. My life-altering event would be losing a child via pregnancy, loss, or otherwise. Yeah. A very close person passing away. My woman and I, oh wait, that's not it. That was somebody just saying they love us. On top of all the great answers above, I would also say, what?
I was just talking to TikTok. Oh. Someone sent 300 roses, so I wanted to thank Lexi for that.
I would also say losing a job/career, depending on the path that you take, and what you do after that, it could be life altering. So there was a lot of good answers. Giving birth, moving, loss of a child, selling my home.
I would say losing power over a limb or multiple parts of your body.
I'm sorry, say that again.
Losing power of a limb or multiple parts of your body.
Paralysis. Okay. So the reason I asked that is because I made a post. There was a comment on one of the videos that we made. And the comment said, what about opposite way? Because it was on the video from 212 or 213 where we were talking about working through divorce, being going from being engaged to not being engaged to being engaged again. Do you remember that conversation where they were talking about how they went from divorce is now off, or marriage is now off the table, and after a year of them working through their bullshit, divorce came. Yep. The marriage was back on the table. I don't know why I keep going to divorce. But it was back on the table and they were getting married, and we talked about how great that was for them, and it showed them that they were willing to work together and do the thing. Then somebody said, what about the opposite way? Filed for divorce, life-altering event, now considering reconciliation, opinions. So I left an opinion video, and someone named Jared said, to me though, if something happens that's life-altering to me and my partner up and files for divorce, that tells me a lack of loyalty, and that the vows were just hollow words recited out of tradition.
Damn.
And I agree from a selfish standpoint.
Why?
Because it is from a selfish standpoint. Because if I'm going through a life-altering event and my world is shattered and my partner goes, I can't deal with this, and decides that divorce is now an option and wants to leave, that is me viewing the world solely through my lens. We'll take paralysis because that was your example. Mm-hmm. If I was to actually become paralyzed from the neck down because of my spine, and you were like, I can't deal with this, I gotta go, I'm viewing the abandonment through my lens. I'm not considering what it is that you're going through and now having to be a caretaker and having to, change somebody's bag and catheters and all the other things that would have to go into that. It's a very selfish, what about me mindset. Mm-hmm. When there is a life-altering event, it's not one person in a marriage that's affected. It's both people and the marriage that is affected. So though I agree that vows are supposed to be honored through a religious standpoint, you don't know how a life-altering event is going to affect both people in a situation. So in a cancer scenario, one person has cancer and has to fight for their life, and the other one has to be a caretaker. That's a thing. And the loss of a child is going to affect a woman different than a man. And the loss of an actual child that's not, a baby, because I was speaking on miscarriage previously, and the loss of, like, let's say a teenager in a car accident to a DUI, that's going to affect each parent very differently. Mm-hmm. So when you put it from a perspective of my lens, they are abandoning me in my time of need, you are taking off the fact that you are dealing with a whole other person, and their cognitive bias and the perception of the world through their lens has been removed, and it becomes a very selfish me. What about me? How could they do this to me? Mm-hmm. Why, God? Right? Mm-hmm. because that's the mentality that comes along with that. So what I wanted to ask, because I got the chat to go life altering events, in a scenario where you are married and you have a really good marriage and something comes along and devastates you, where do you think that life altering event would be able to allow you to break your vows? I kept wanting to say disavow, but I don't think that would have worded properly.
I'm going to be honest. Really, the only thing would be me finding out you were inappropriate with children. That would be the line. That would be the boundary.
So, okay. So then what if I had what if I had a TBI?
Okay.
Let's take it to a very extreme, right? Let's say that somebody decides to go serve their country, hits an IED, blows themselves up, comes back, has reconstructive surgery. They don't look like themselves, and you're totally cool with it.
Right.
But there's a TBI, and the personality that they had before they left versus who they were when they came back is not the same person.
Right.
Is there a gray area that would allow you to break your vows because the person you're married is not the person you're married to?
So it depends. If your values have changed and your morals have changed, like you come in and go, I want multiple wives now. Not doing that. Like if your faith changes, maybe. If, you no longer laugh at fart jokes and you're not there all the time, you're kind of aloof. I am down to fall in love with any version of you.
Okay, so then let's do a not so extreme. What about in the case of an addiction?
Okay.
Because people know they have an addictive personality, but you don't know how that's going to affect you. You don't know the kind of demons that's going to come from it. So let's say a couple goes to Vegas, hanging out with the friends that they were in high school with. They've been drinking. Somebody pulls out a bag of blow. One line turns into a full-blown addiction over the course of 6 months. And the person that you're married to is no longer the person that you married because of the addiction.
Am I aware of the addiction?
You would be at that point because you'd be broke and things would be missing and you would be dealing with a very different person.
Well, it wouldn't get to the 6 month point. If I'm noticing within from the first bump that person takes and 3 weeks into them making this part of their routine, there's already going to be changes.
Okay.
Especially if they're trying to be sneaky about it. If someone's trying to make an excuse to go to the bathroom every hour 45 minutes, what the fuck is wrong with you? Do I need to take you to the doctor? This isn't normal behavior for you. I also pay attention to my partner. So I would know if there is something altering the chemistry within you. I would notice that. And there would be some very serious conversations. If you had to go to rehab, we would use all the credit cards we had. We would figure shit out. I'm the ride or die. If you threw all of that in my face and was like, no, this is what makes me happy and this is the life that I'm going to choose, you're a grown-ass man. I can try to help you. I can be the supportive wife. If you decide one day that's not what you want, I'm not going to move on. I'm not going to just kind of accept that that's who you are as a person. I know that addiction is a demon, and eventually you will either pass away or you will get to the point where you go, I don't want to do this anymore and I want my life back. And I will be there waiting for you.
Okay. So that's a lot, right? That conversation, and I was going to just leave this is a gray area. And again, I agree with the statement the guy made from a selfish standpoint because it does go to
the abandonment.
Me. What about me, right? And I think that when people have conflict or they have a situation in their relationship or their marriage where things fall apart, they don't think about the other person. They think about how they feel. I can't believe they did this to me.
Right.
They cheated on me. Mm-hmm. It's never they did this for them without thinking about me. And like in the addiction scenario, if somebody had a drug addiction, they're not thinking about their partner while they're becoming addicted to drugs. They're thinking about their high and they're thinking about themselves. And that also becomes a selfish discussion. Mm-hmm. And I think that does fall in part to narcissistic behavior because everyone does have narcissistic tendencies, whether you want to agree with that or not. It is ingrained in us. It's survival. Mm-hmm. And though this whole thing is very hypothetical, and until you're actually in a situation where you are dealing with things like that, you don't know. So like I could sit here and say that there's never a scenario in the world that I would ever leave in those situations, right?
Right.
But in the event that there's a loss of a child, a teenage child, you don't know how a mom or a father is going to handle that shit. So what could be a traumatic, devastating event could end up becoming a life-altering personality trait. Mm-hmm. And when you marry somebody, it is supposed to be for better or worse, but how long do you stay with somebody that is not the person that you married?
Right.
And when you answer that question and you think about the more shallow end side of things where there's not a traumatic event, people change over time. Mm-hmm. So at that point, does that same stance of I'm not fucking leaving to, well, maybe I would if this was the case, well, they changed, so maybe now, like, where does that line get skewed? That was the video that I was trying to make on TikTok. There's no fucking way I was getting that in 10 minutes.
No. I wanted to add on that it would also be selfish in me to leave and break the vows. Because I did make a promise before you and the God that we believe in that I was going to be here no matter what. So if you get cancer and I have to help you in the bathroom or whatever needs to be done, and one day I go, I don't want to do this anymore, that is selfish on my end. I feel like I'd be betraying everything. Oh, I'm going to start fucking crying. That'd be a really hard choice.
So then what about abuse? Because if you're with somebody who has never shown any type of aggression and then all of a sudden becomes physically abusive, mentally abusive, like super crazy abusive, at some point your safety should matter more than your vows, I would think.
Right. I mean, definitely it does. And also, I know that a lot of religious people shun divorce, and if you get divorced, I'm going to disown you kind of mentality. The God that I believe in would not want me to be in that situation. Right? Because my God loves me. Like he's my father, and my father wouldn't want to see me go through that.
Right.
So if you became the kind of person who was physically abusive and say you punched a hole in a wall, that would be your one time to do that. Like, I understand you went through whatever you went through and all of these things. Like, you need to fucking hear me right now. You're about to lose your reality. It would be a very, very serious conversation.
Okay. All right. I'm going to look over here to the chat and see some of the answers that have been coming through because we've not been looking at it as we've been going. So,
okay.
Cricket Tip said, I can't do drug addiction, child essay, or adult essay type of behaviors. Jordan S. said, I'd say I love you, but I love you so much I want you to get better, so I need you to let me help you and just trying to communicate in general.
I also recognize when somebody's in active addiction, their mind... Have you guys ever seen The Possession, where that little girl gets the box and she has this like demon spirit living inside of her? That's how I view active addiction. Like, it is using the person as a host and it's just thriving on the soul. You're not dealing with the actual human being in that moment. So it's definitely going to be a not clear, easy communication. There's going to be definitely a lot of mental strain on the end of the person trying to help.
Ray Marie said, there is a lady on TikTok whose ex-husband had a TBI and is now physically handicapped. They divorced, but she's still something him with her new husband and kids, brings him over dinner, etc. He's still part of the family.
If this is the person that I think that you're talking about, she actually adopted her ex-husband, and she is his caretaker now.
So he's like seriously physically disabled.
Yeah, he's seriously. This is the person that I think that they are talking about. She is now with somebody else, and her new man helps with the ex-husband, and they are just one big family.
Katrina said, you can always work through it unless the other person never accepts help or doesn't want to change for anything in any way. So you're speaking in a definite by saying always. And this is where the conversation comes in for me, because there's a gray area.
Right.
Like, what if they are forcing themselves upon you? right? Like at some point, I guess that answers the question. They answered their own question. They answered my question in their statement. I just went to an extreme and didn't.
If it comes down to it, I got a pew pew.
Yeah.
Like, also, like, why let it get to that point though? Like one time, well, then people are in super shitty situations.
Yeah.
Life is a fucking mess.
It is.
Life is such a mess.
And it's not, you can't speak in definites.
No, you can't.
You can prepare for the worst and hope for the best. And you can navigate and overcome obstacles and try to work together. But there are going to be times where it's not about you, and what they are doing is not about you. It's about what they want for themselves and doing the things that makes them happy in whatever fashion that is. Michelle said, my husband suffered a severe TBI. It made his PTSD, anxiety, depression severe. It's a bit better than a year after, but still a struggle. And it happened in December of 2018.
Do you want to hear something funny?
Sure.
Someone on TikTok said that I would look better if I was slimmer.
Yeah. Fucking people, dude.
Like, I have no shame in talking about my weight. I'm 177 pounds as of this morning. My highest weight, I was 340 pounds. You telling me that you think I would look slimmer means absolutely nothing to me. Bitch, this is me slimmer.
Right.
Play that fucking game. Get out of here.
Here's a bigger thought. You never know like what somebody's going through. And for people who get on the internet and do shit like that, like I hope that when you have kids, your kids aren't bullied online.
Oh my God, right?
Because you're going to have to deal with that. You have no idea. Like this person
hope you never
probably
have a daughter who has to go through this shit.
Right. This person probably doesn't follow you and has no idea that you were over 300 pounds at one point and that
Right.
you've lost half of your body weight to get where you are.
I have.
So
Crazy.
eat a dick, you fucking scumbag.
I just want to, because everybody is giving me a bunch of compliments right now. I do appreciate that. That wasn't my goal, to get a plethora of comments. I wanted to show you what it looks like to be a confident person.
Yeah.
People will go out of their way to be really shitty to you just to be shitty to you, to see if they can get a chink in your armor. Not here, buddy.
That's just a fraction of the shit that we have to deal with. Those content
there's
creators.
death threats. Yeah.
Floor TGE, I'm not even going to try to say your name or your last name. I apologize. Wrote, if you are abusive to the partner, wouldn't that break the vows? That's actually a really good point.
I would say yes, because in the vows, depending on what you do, if you do like the traditional ones, it's to love and cherish, protect. You're supposed to love your wife the way that Jesus loved the church.
Right.
Damn, that was a good point. Who said that?
That was a very good point. I'm not saying their name. I'm not going to even attempt that because it's going to be bad. I'm good on that. All right, let's do an email. We had a super chat come through on Sunday night, and I ended the live stream with 3 super chats that were not read. I'm sorry about that, but the person that sent the super chat did send in an email, and we want to do the email.
Somebody on TikTok just said, you guys helped me go from being a narcissist to a loving partner and a good stepdad.
That's insane.
That's absolutely insane. Good for you, man. Good for you. Okay, so this one is called Losing Hope Due to His Constant Annoyance with Me. Hello, Chris and Peaches. I've been listening to you both daily since April 16th of 2023, and I found a lot of help and honest advice within the massive amount of content I have consumed across Patreon and YouTube.
Daily in almost a year.
Thank you for that. Thank you for everybody who continues to support us.
It means a lot.
It means so much. I love all of you. You both have called me out on my shit multiple times, and I feel I have done much growth in the last year, especially considering how things were before then. Most of the time, I have been able to get answers to my questions by simply watching. However, last night, Sunday, March 17th, 2024, I sent in a super chat asking for advice on how to navigate my husband's frequent annoyance. I watched it twice this morning and have concluded that I must send an email. Some background. I am 33 female, and my husband is 36. We have been together for 6 years and have been married since October of 2022.
Hang on one second.
Okay.
For those of you who are sending questions into the chat right now, we are going to read this email and then we might do some Q&As. If you want to have your questions or anything guaranteed to be read, you have to send it in a super chat. We guarantee that we read those, other than Sunday night because I missed 3 of them.
Yeah.
But I normally double check before we end the live streams, and sometimes they keep us from ending the lives because we're answering the chats. Super chats will be guaranteed to get read. Anything over $50 gets read immediately. And we're going to go ahead and get back into the email now. Okay.
We have 2 kids, although only the 2.5-year-old is biologically his. Our 8-year-old is from a previous marriage. We both work and are still able to have dinner every night as a family and normally spend evenings together. Exceptions are him being tired as he works outside. Every year that we have been together has some relationship issues and lots of broken trust along the way, coming from both sides. Us having messed around with polyamory off and on until January of 2023, more off than on, has largely been the instigator for all of that hurt, and I did not handle it well.
I'm wondering if that was a conscious decision that they both agreed upon. And go ahead.
Oh, no, you can continue.
And I'm curious if this is something that was new that they tried, because it's becoming trendy.
It is becoming very trendy. You guys, please don't feel pressured to do polyamory if you are not comfortable sharing your partner. If you are with somebody, a man or a woman, who is pushing for multiple partners and you are not okay with it, it is okay to just go, look, I'm not comfortable with this. I'm not built for this kind of relationship. I hope you find what makes you happy.
Right. Don't be afraid to set boundaries. I know that there's a narrative now that if you set boundaries, you're somehow controlling, and it goes both ways. I don't see it that way. I think that boundary sets you get a really nice fence, right? It's like a border wall.
Make it look good.
Trespassers will be shot. Survivors will be shot twice, right? Like,
yes.
we are clearly defined, and this is not okay behavior, and we're not going to accept this from anyone. And if that's one of your things and somebody's like, well, that's what I want, be like, cool, that we're just not compatible then. You're a cool person and I'm a cool person, and we can be cool people that hang out, but it's not going beyond that. There's nothing wrong with having a standard and setting it and adhering to that. It shows people that you have self-worth and self-respect, and they're going to respect you a whole lot more for adhering to your boundaries than if you fucking cave to them to people please somebody else.
Yeah. Back to the email.
Please.
I made a lot of mistakes and hurt him in ways that are actually not part of my email. But the scars are always there, and I think understanding our time together has been rocky is important. I also put a ton of work into being mentally where I am today. I have borderline personality disorder, and I was honestly letting it control my life back then.
That's most people with BPD because they don't know how to deal with it. Yeah. Which is crazy because there's so... Fucking going back to both cameras. There's so many resources and tools out there.
Right.
The problem is people don't look for long-term or long-form content. Reading a book is a lot harder than watching a 3-minute TikTok video. It takes a whole lot more time to listen to an audiobook than it does to to just make a vague book post and bitch about your life for a minute and let everybody sympathize with you.
Right.
But the resources are there. It doesn't take much to sit down and fucking figure your shit out in the grand scheme of things. If it takes you a week to do that, you still have the rest of your life ahead of you. So
I think when it came to me getting my borderline under control, I had to actually acknowledge that my actions were an issue. I think like when I was like full blown unhinged and I was thriving in the victim mindset, my mental illness and the victim mindset went hand in hand.
Right. It compounds on top of each other.
Yeah.
You can't have that. You can't, if you're not living in a victim mindset, the borderline issues are way less.
It is.
And the selfishness, because there are a lot of narcissistic tendencies in people who have borderline, like.
Yeah. I actually thought about this the other day. I bet a lot of my exes would say that I would have high narcissistic tendencies.
Well, everybody's ex is a narcissist, according to the internet.
But if they said it, I would believe it. Like I wasn't overbearing and controlling, but in arguments, I would definitely, I would cause arguments because arguments was how I felt loved. And I bet from an outside perspective, it's fucking narcissistic to do that.
Right. Well, again, narcissistic tendencies, everyone has them.
Right. It's just heightened in certain areas.
Right. And that's where it becomes diagnosable as a personality disorder. That conversation that we had at the beginning of this live stream, from a selfish standpoint of somebody abandoning you and that being the thing, that is narcissism.
Yeah.
Because you're viewing the world solely as you're the center of the universe. How could they do this to me? Not, well, were they looking out for themselves?
Right.
You know, it's a lot.
Were they looking out for themselves? Were they looking out for 10 other people?
I have a tradition that I can't break.
What is that?
Marcus Elliott is in the chat, ladies and gentlemen.
Marcus Elliott.
I've been doing that for a year. I have no idea who this dude is.
Yeah. This isn't Dirt Bike Buddy?
No, it's not.
No, who's Dirt Bike Buddy?
His name is 3 letters and 3 numbers.
I would know it if I saw it.
Yeah,
I bet
CJX or something like that. Yep. I just can't let that go. It's one of those things that I've started and it's become an obsessive compulsive behavior thing.
I love that.
So.
All right. The problem. Oh, we have almost 900 people on TikTok.
Holy shit. 392 on YouTube. Oh, sorry. That was probably pretty loud in y'all's ears.
My husband is the type of person who gets annoyed with others, even his coworkers and the employees that he manages. He is logical nearly to a fault and gets visibly irritated when others, especially me, aren't on the same path of thinking as him. He will roll his eyes, use a mocking voice at times, sigh loudly, and make sarcastic comments about how the day is going to be great after a disagreement or a point of conversational annoyance with me.
There's a whole lot to that.
Right. Did she say he's always been this way?
I didn't hear her say that. Doesn't mean that I didn't miss it.
I'm looking back now. Say what you're going to say. I'm looking.
This comes down to unresolved conflict, right? Mm-hmm. There's trained behavior there. People are expecting the day to be ruined because I'm sure that that's happened in the past.
Especially if you were super unhinged in the beginning with your borderline.
Yeah.
And it was like 2 or 3 years of every day being ruined.
Right. Dealing with splitting,
Yeah.
the victim mentality, the abandonment issues, like
Pushing away.
right.
Yeah.
It's also very hard. I've said this a lot. It's very hard for people who don't have borderline to be in a relationship with somebody who has borderline because they can't understand what's going on. Mm-hmm. Having 2 people in a relationship with borderline can be like world conflict. Everything is burning.
Yeah. We have to be the water that set this fire out. That's all we got.
Or you can get to a point where you both understand what's going on and you can say things like, hey, I think I'm splitting right now.
Yeah.
And there can be a conversation versus a fucking meltdown of not knowing what's going on.
And it's a scary conversation.
Right.
But it's one that should be had.
Right. So that scenario of all of that is unresolved conflict. Mm-hmm. I believe that it's ongoing shit. There's a lot of like time that they've spent together where he's experienced these things over and over and over again.
I think it's a survival mechanism.
I think it's a frustration.
Like a rebellious 15-year-old?
No, I think he's probably just sick of it.
Yeah.
And craves normalcy. And they just don't have it because they haven't figured out how to move past this shit yet.
Mm-hmm. And she said, anyway, you want it, that's I was alone. I never knew just what love could do. And we
Brooke,
died.
well, I hate to interrupt your karaoke.
I was
over
waiting
there.
for you to be like, okay, what are you
I
doing?
was waiting on you to get back into the email.
I was just vibing.
But Brooke said, how do you know when you're splitting? I only know after. You know when you're going through it. When you look at somebody that you love and you think, I can't stand them, or I wish they just shut the fuck up and leave me alone, and they're just going about their day.
Yeah.
Or you feel like you hate them all of a sudden, that's splitting. You know what that feels like. You know when it's happening. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah. Back to the email.
Please.
Needless to say, when I am feeling emotional, I typically get met with frustration and standoffishness. If these types of interactions happen at night, he seems extra crabby and quickly shuts down, getting undressed.
He's tired.
Because he's tired.
Yeah.
getting undressed for bed throughout the back and forth, then laying down and covering up as he fully shuts down on me. When I'm feeling emotional, I typically get met with frustration and standoffishness. So piggybacking on what my husband said prior, I believe that frustration is because he's recognized there's absolutely nothing he can do when you're emotional. And everything he does is a fucking problem or could be a problem. And the standoffishness, that shutting down would be, like me personally, when I do that, it's self-preservation. They're going through it. There's a fucking hurricane and I don't want to get hit by a flying door.
Right.
If I can't do anything right, I'm not going to do anything. I'm doing nothing.
Before you go back into it, Francis98 and on Twitch said, can you possibly dig deeper into coming out of the bipolar behaviors and understanding them? We are not actually speaking on bipolar. We are talking about borderline personality disorder. It's two separate things. And we've done a lot of episodes where we've discussed borderline. So I don't really want to get into that now, but I did want to make it clear that borderline and bipolar is not the same thing.
Emra said that another sign of splitting could be things that have never annoyed you are suddenly annoying you. And the first thing that came to my mind was like the clothes on the floor. If one day that started annoying me, I would come to you immediately and be like, babe, I don't know what the fuck's going on, but I noticed this. We need to have a conversation. I need help.
Right. So as simple as that is, that can also be flooding. And that's an episode that we have to do, but that overwhelmed things have not been resolved. I'm now in fight, flight, or freeze, like that. So that could be a part of it, but that is actually a normal thing for a lot of people. And that comes from unresolved conflict.
Yeah.
So
back to the email. Okay. If these types of interactions happen at night, somebody asked if we both have BPD. We do. We both have borderline.
We navigate it really fucking well, though.
We do. We navigate it really well. It's been a lot of work, a lot of crying, a lot of frustrated conversations, not being frustrated with each other, but frustrated that we couldn't understand what was happening. A lot of navigating treacherous waters. We're really good fucking sailors now.
Yeah. Biggest thing with borderline is being able to switch off emotional mind to logic mind.
Yeah.
And if you have borderline, you can turn your emotions off. We are fucking like one step away from full-blown sociopaths.
Yeah, that numb switch is...
Right. You disassociate real fucking easy.
Yeah.
But if you can do that and then go logic brain thinking and solve your problems because of the tools that you've learned, because you have to do the fucking work, DBT, things like that, it's just a lot. It is just a lot.
It's like going into a bomb shelter in your mind. When you switch off that feelings and get into logic to process things,
Yep.
to remove yourself.
You guys need to, we have a recommended reading list that's got 3 books on borderline. I'm sure one of the mods will throw that in.
If these types of interactions happen at night, I just fucking read that.
Yeah, read it again though, because we keep diverting.
If these types of interactions, oh my goodness, where am I at? If these types of interactions happen at night, he seems extra crabby and quickly shuts down, getting undressed for bed throughout the back and forth, then lying down and covering up as he fully shuts down on me. Oh, I didn't hear that during the back and forth. So he is talking to you as he's getting ready for bed. So he's not shutting down or ignoring. He's conversing.
But at what point, have you ever heard the phrase diminishing returns?
Diminishing returns?
Right.
Like once you get it out, you're not going to get back what you put in?
Right.
Yeah.
You're going to get to a point where you've given all you can give and there's nothing coming back that's going to help the situation. At that point, most people are going to disassociate. They're going to leave. Problems are not being solved. We're going round and round in circles. You're not hearing each other. There's no understanding. You're acting purely on emotions. I have had to go, babe, I hear you.
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying. Let me repeat it back to you. I don't need you to keep telling me the same thing over and over again. Do you feel hurt right now? And you just want me to know that you're hurt because I can fucking tell.
And I was like, yeah.
Right. So that's the conversation that needs to be had versus we're just going to keep saying the same thing to each other. Of course, we're going to get fucking angry by that. Nobody wants to hear the same shit over and over again.
Right.
How many times do I got to repeat myself? I don't know how many times I got to fucking repeat myself. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that's not helpful.
You were also logic brain in that. I wasn't.
I'm logic brain most of the time when there's conflict because I'm afraid of letting go of my emotions.
Yeah.
So I have to keep a whole lot suppressed while I'm working through things or I'm a fucking mess. I know that. It could be bad.
Yeah. You get very, you don't get angry, but you certainly, I can tell you're frustrated because there's conflict.
Yeah.
And it's not solved right away. Like there's things to figure out. And I can tell you're frustrated that it's not just done.
Yeah.
I hate that that's a thing in life.
It's better than being emotionally immature.
Yeah, I very much appreciate. I would take you being frustrated over conflict versus yelling at me or punching holes in walls or mocking me and telling me to shut up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely take frustrated you over any day. Anything.
Amanda Nicole said, Chris, I hope you're doing okay today. You seem real deep in thought. I'm actually great. I'm having a really good day today.
It's been a good past few days.
It has been. The studio is finally like I got a full 8 hours of sleep last night, which never fucking happens. I woke up on my own accord today. There was no kids waking me up. You didn't get out of bed before
the kids
me.
were still asleep when we got up.
I'm in a good headspace. I'm trying to be contemplative to problem solve. So if I seem deep in thought, it's because I'm processing what's being said and I'm focused.
We have intention today.
Yeah, we're working with intent.
All right, back to the email. If I keep going, he will tell me he is trying to sleep and reminds me of how early he wakes up. Sadly, this all happened tonight. So why don't we try to have the conversation at a different time? Has that been also shut down? Because if conversations are only approached at nighttime, and that's the result every time that he's tired and he needs to wake up early, well, what time are you guys going to bed? If you're laying down at 11 o'clock and he turns around and wakes up at 4, I'm not trying to have a serious conversation at that time.
Right. That tells me that you are completely oblivious to the needs of your person.
Yeah, if that's the case.
Yeah.
If he shuts down every attempt to have a conversation, let's say you wake up early with him in the morning and he has a 30-minute wake up time, and after 30 minutes, he's good, he's ready to go, fucking chipper for the day.
It's me. I don't even want to hear good morning when I first wake up.
I know, you didn't say good morning this morning, and I was like, oh, he's really groggy.
It's that scene from We Were Soldiers where the guy who plays Opie is a young soldier, and he's walking, and he's like, good morning, Sergeant Major, and he's like, how do you fucking know what kind of day it is? Are you a weatherman? Like,
that's literally us in the morning.
That's me the first 30 minutes that I wake up. I don't want to fucking hear nothing from anyone. Hey, how you doing? I don't fucking know yet. It's been 22 minutes. Need 8 more. Leave me alone.
Every morning I ask my husband, how'd you sleep last night, babe? And now I know your answer is I fucking didn't. That's funny. Oh, man. We should do a skit of us saying good morning. Just me walking by and be like, good morning, babe. How do you fucking know? And just like different things walking past each other.
Just recreate that scene, but in a marriage.
That's hilarious.
Holly said, one of my favorite movies. My grandfather flew those helicopters in that, not in the movie, but in that unit in Vietnam. Yep.
Oh, that gave me chills.
My dad was also in Vietnam, but that's not really relevant, I guess.
My great-grandfather was in Vietnam.
Yeah.
He did not make it. I have his name etched from when I went to Washington. That was crazy to see. Back to the email. Things have been rough the last few days. These frequent times of him being irritated with me or seeming to talk to me like I'm stupid has only amplified, and I've been struggling with strong thoughts of divorce, which I feel ashamed of and heartbroken over thought. However, I don't know how to keep positive and hold out hope that I can lead by example to nudge him to work with me on improving our communication. All the times I've tried bringing this issue up over the years, he has refused that there is any problem on his end to work on and insists that it's all my borderline, even calling X or Y the problem of the week.
That's a problem.
Yeah. So if he has been this way for years, she said, what, they've been together for 6 years, she said? 2023. Been together for 6 years. They've been married for 2.
So everybody has a baseline understanding of what gaslighting is. right? Even if their understanding of what gaslighting is wrong, everybody has an idea of what gaslighting is.
Right.
If you have borderline personality disorder or any mental illness, and every single time you have a problem, the person goes, it's your BPD or whatever your illness is, you need meds, what's the flavor of the week, or anything like that, that is the epitome of what gaslighting is, because it negates everything that you are feeling.
Every experience, your reality.
Right. That is an incompatible relationship, in my opinion. They need to go to a therapist that specializes in borderline, and dude needs to read some books.
Yeah.
That's one of those irredeemable qualities, I believe.
I agree. Can definitely tell by the picture that she is painting of this man. I can tell that he's uneducated. I don't mean that he didn't graduate high school. I can tell that this man has not picked up a book and has not done any self-reflection.
Well, he's ignorant to what borderline is.
Yes.
Every time I say ignorant on a podcast, people get so mad. Oh my God, he called him ignorant.
So
it's the lack of knowledge and understanding.
I can tell you why people get offended by that, because I once too got offended when someone told me I was ignorant, and it's because people use ignorant as a very negative tone for you being stupid.
Right, but we are.
Right. But when somebody, I mean, you experienced in your childhood being told you're stupid.
Right.
For a lot of people, that's a very deep wound for them.
Yeah. Well, they need to work through their shit then. Right.
But they lack the understanding that when someone tells you that you're ignorant to this, it's not that I'm telling you that you're dumb or you're stupid. You literally just don't know. It's a formal way of saying you don't know what's going on.
Right.
You need more information.
Right. So that comes down to blame, shame, and judgment, though.
Right.
If you are speaking to somebody with criticism and contempt and blame, of course, ignorant is going to sound really bad.
Right.
But if you're ignorant to the situation, you are ignorant to the situation.
Yeah.
If you get mad about that, you need to check inward. Why is this triggering me? Isn't that the whole point of the podcast for the first year?
Yeah.
Why is this triggering you?
Yeah. And that's why I'm actually now okay with saying to the masses that I am ignorant to certain things, because I don't know.
Right.
There are a couple of comments from when we first started the podcast where someone told me I was ignorant. I was like, fuck you, I'm not ignorant. And it's somewhere. Someone might be able to find it somewhere. But yeah, you're right. Like that, in that moment, I was defensive.
Right.
Because I felt like someone was calling me stupid. I'm not stupid. I hope that's not one of us. One of ours. Sorry, there's a car alarm going off, guys. All right. Well, everybody, take a hit.
He's not us.
Fantastic. I appreciate the compliments, guys. Thank you.
All right. Guys, I see a whole bunch of super chats coming in. We will absolutely get to these. It will just be
Excuse me.
after we get through this. Brooke said, how do I redo my Patreon sub? It should automatically redo it. And if not, you just go back through and set it up again.
You might have just had like the 1 month thing set up. I think there's an option to do the reoccurring monthly.
I don't think it is.
No?
I think that when you sign up, it automatically goes monthly.
I have no idea then. It might have been your bank maybe.
It lapsed and I need to renew it. I don't know how to get into the payment part. Just go back through and sign back up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'm not going to get back into email because I just had another thought and I want to say it. I am recognizing fancy words, fancy, because I am somebody who came from a world of just filler conversation, like and but and a lot of cuss words. Just not, you can tell that I wasn't educated on language. And now that I am starting to read more and I'm listening to Jordan B. Peterson because I want to speak eloquently and I want to sound smart. Why'd you roll your eyes?
I would rather you be smart than sound smart.
Well, I am smart. I want to sound as smart as I am. Okay, how about that?
That works.
Because I have intelligence within me, and I just sometimes I hear myself and I'm like, oh,
I get that.
Girl.
Every time I edit.
Come on. And
I feel the same way about me. So I get it.
So words like ignorant and other words that at one point I would have taken as an attack. It's because stupid people use those words as an attack because they don't understand the meaning of it.
Right.
It just sounds harsh, so I'm going to use that one.
Or because you don't understand what it means.
Right.
Right. I get that.
Intelligent people understand, and I'm not trying to like shame anybody right now. I'm not saying you're not smart. Just in the world grand scheme of things, and intelligent people around the world understand that word is not a fuck you.
Right.
Right? People who want control and are of higher narcissistic levels and want to put you down and make you feel bad will 100% use those words against you because they know when you go out into the world, when other people say it to you.
Yeah. When you have a higher understanding of what the language is, like what words mean, the definitions of word, it changes the conversations that people are having.
Right.
So, and we get that a lot because we'll have Zoom calls and people will be like, that's not what I meant. Okay, well, that's what you said. All right, well, I didn't understand that that's what that word was. You know what I mean? So, and that takes, that's a lot of fucking growth too, to be able to admit that like I was wrong in that. Like I thought that meant something else. Oops.
Yeah, now I laugh about it.
Yeah.
Be like, damn, you got me. Thanks for that though. Here, I should tip you. Here's $2. Expanding my knowledge like that. All right, now back to the email. We're done, guys, I promise. Sometimes he might respond by saying that he has changed a lot for me, which is somewhat true.
Okay.
So it's either, okay, you go. Because we both paused.
So there's a lot in that too. So one, she just negated the way he feels.
She just downplayed everything that he has changed.
Right. But if somebody says, I've changed a lot for you, you don't get to say, well, you kind of have.
Right. It's either you did or you didn't.
If they feel like they've made changes and they're not who they were to make somebody else happy, they have made a lot of changes.
And if you can see those changes, then it's true.
Right. The other thing, because she said somewhat true. The other part of that is that, damn it, I lost it. It's gone.
No.
It's gone. Read the sentence one more time, please.
Sometimes he might respond by saying that he has changed a lot for me, ... which is somewhat true.
Oh, the other thing is you don't get to throw that in people's faces.
That I changed for you?
Yeah.
Oh, I agree with that.
You did that to make them happy.
Right.
So you didn't do it for them. You did it for you to placate them or to make them feel good or whatever your reason was to do something. You didn't do it for them. You did it for you.
You made that choice.
Right. So you don't get to throw that in people's faces. That's not a plate of honor. Look what I did for you. That's like loaning somebody money and being, hey, you remember that time I loaned you money? Just know, I know that I loaned you money. Some bullshit. It's like giving homeless people money and recording it for the internet. That's how that feels to me.
It's keeping score, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Just trying to make it a positive light, I guess. But you're using it in a battle zone.
They are using it. It's a manipulation tactic.
Yeah.
Look at what I've done. Look what I've done for you.
Within our first year or so, right before I even learned that I had borderline and had no clue what was wrong with me, he would tell me how I am the most sensitive woman he has ever been with.
Well, you have borderline.
That made me feel like garbage.
Why?
I know. Am I the most sensitive woman you've been with? I would believe you if you said yes.
You are... That's not a yes or no question.
No?
No, it's not because you cry.
I do.
More than anyone I've ever been with.
I do.
But that doesn't mean that you're sensitive. It means that you process your emotions with tears.
Yeah.
Just like some people get angry and some people laugh at frustration, right?
Yeah,
like
people laugh
everybody
at funerals.
processes the way they process. If you got hurt every time I made a statement and you were unable in this situation, if you got angry every time I gave you a piece of knowledge about yourself that you can work on.
Or I started crying because it hurt my feelings.
Right. That would be different than you processing your emotion with tears.
Okay. That was a good answer.
Well, it's true. You're not an overly sensitive person. I can say some shit to you and you might be, damn, really? And and then you'll process it and you'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Somebody telling you that you're sensitive is not a bad thing. There's nothing wrong with being sensitive. You need to learn to control your sensitivity.
Yeah.
If you are overly emotional and you can't handle things when people tell you something, that is a you problem. However, if he can't learn to navigate that and work with you to fix the problem, that's the bigger issue here. This really does come down to he's very one-sided and she doesn't know how to make it so that they can work as a team. That's what I'm getting from this. Or he's
Yeah.
tried and is just given up and doesn't fucking care anymore.
Like all of his hope is gone. Like at one point he thought that they could have what he dreamed of, and after borderline episode after borderline episode after borderline episode for years, you think that he's just like accepted that this is what it is.
I mean, that's not where I was going with that.
Oh.
I can only speak from my experiences in life and with the way that I view the world. And if you try something and try something and try something, eventually you're like, okay, this isn't going to work and I don't know what else to do. So I'm just going to give up.
Yeah.
I quit. And I'm going to become detached. And for people who are in marriages, when things go bad, sometimes leaving isn't an option. Let's look at the financial landscape alone. Without kids, there are a lot of people out there who can't afford to just simply live on their own as adults right now because of the devaluation of the dollar, inflation, if that's what you want to call it. That's not what it is, but that alone has made people dependent on each other to survive. Now you throw kids into the mix, you throw in child support, alimony, and all of the other things that come along with a divorce, and it's a lot fucking harder for people to leave and not lose everything.
Yeah.
It's a lot harder for a man to find a woman to go shack up with and just move in with and be mooched off of. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm being goofy.
I know.
I'm still listening. I'm paying attention.
Okay. That was my point, though.
So what about, I want to touch on again you saying like controlling your sensitivities. If your whole body is just one raw exposed nerve, and a breeze hurts you, there's some self-work that needs to be done. Your partner can't help you process that. Your therapist can listen to you. The work happens on the inside when you face, why is it hurting me? Why does everything bother me? Why do I feel like a fucking raw nerve?
Right. There's a term for that, and I literally just read it when I was making my notes for this next episode, and I can't find it.
A term for what?
For what you just said, that raw nerve. It's basically a psychological arousal from trauma response. But there is a word for it. There's a clinical word for what that feeling is when you get flooded, and I can't.
Okay, back to the email.
Yep.
Luckily, after enough times of asking him to quit saying that, he did.
It's called, rejection sensitivity dysphoria is what I was thinking of, and it's not part of that, but it's relative to the conversation that we have to have later that ties into all of this.
Okay.
So it's not the same thing. It's not. I was wrong.
Okay.
I was ignorant.
Heard. You're so sexy.
Anyways.
Stop. Why did that really just did something for me. Why did that do a thing?
I don't know.
You're so intelligent. I like it.
I'm learning.
Can you say algebra?
Algebra. Perform, monkey.
I had to do the puzzle piece verification.
No. Should you show you that you're still there?
Yeah. Can't, 900 people in here? We can't just cut the live off on them.
I mean, we could and send them to YouTube because we are trying to hit 250,000 this year on YouTube.
We are, yeah.
So if you're not subscribed to the channel yet, now is a great time to hit that subscribe button.
Mm-hmm. Okay, back to the email.
Yep. Can somebody catch that imposter syndrome comment and put it in with the super chats? I want to discuss that when we're done. From Creeker Mariah.
Imposter syndrome's a rough one for me. With your help, I've been able to stay more level-headed in intense conversations, which has allowed me to see past what feels like attacks from him, to stay focused on words exchanged between us both. Up until a few months ago or so, he would tell me how negative I was in the middle of his frustration. Now, I can see that he also struggles with negativity.
So you guys feed off of each other and it makes it worse.
Yeah. Oh, excuse me, I'm burping. The point that is so difficult is that our good times are amazing. We will click on many levels, die laughing on the floor about something stupid, and take trips a few hours away twice a year, just us. I have always felt that he is my best friend, and now I feel in the way, But now I feel in the way and like a bother. Oh, she feels in the way. Okay. But now I feel like I'm in the way and a bother a lot of the time when we talk. If I'm being honest with myself, these signs were there all along. I have spent months thinking about Peaches saying over and over to believe who people show they are, or something like that. Not to say I have been at my current point of considering divorce this entire time, but it is a thought that has come up sporadically during these exceptionally difficult runs of our poor communication that mix with a couple weeks or so of bliss and love.
Okay, I'm gonna pause because I just ran through a whole gambit of things.
Okay.
I'm gonna do something I don't want to do, and I apologize for this, but I want to know how much of that do you think is your borderline? And I'm asking you that, and I'm not telling you that it's your borderline because I want you to process that on your own and figure out if that is actually your borderline, because some of that sounds like splitting.
Yeah.
Some of it sounds like abandonment, which is also a borderline thing. There's a whole lot of things that are going on there. However, the other point in this is that you can't change him, you can change you. And if changing you is not enough for him to want to change to be better as well, that tells you what Peaches has been trying to tell you by showing people they're showing you who they are. The other thing that I wanted to get into with all of that is that the number one trait that shows success in a marriage is friendship. People who have 80-year marriages have 80-year marriages because that person is still their best friend. So when your best friend does some shit that bothers you, you tend to just push it under the rug. Your best friend in real life that's not your person, that is your fucking bestie, can do a whole lot of shit that otherwise would make you fly off the fucking handle towards anyone. But you tolerate it because that's your best friend and it's not that big of a deal because they're your best friend. You have love for them. The relationship is amazing because they're your bestie. So if you have that best friend scenario with your person in your marriage, the tones don't matter, right? Like if you were like, I don't know. Like let's say I had to brush our daughter's hair this morning and I misplaced the brush and you went to grab the brush to brush your hair. I don't know. Everybody's got their own hairbrushes. I'm making this shit up. But in the event that you were like, what did you do with the brush? It's neutral. You're yelling across the house. Where's the hairbrush? Mm-hmm. If we are not on a level and I take that as you always leave the fucking shit laying behind, you never know where you put it, you're always losing stuff, versus it's in the kitchen because that's where I did her ponytail this morning. Mm-hmm. That comes down to our relationship and the way that you and I are interacting and getting along. In the event that it was actually accusatory, and I take it as a fuck you, because you're my best friend, I'm going to be like, oh, it's in the kitchen. I'm not going to take offense to it. Mm-hmm. But if that is already a nerve and I'm already hypersensitive to the way that you are treating me, that's going to become conflict, right, when really all that needed to be had is where's the hairbrush? Because you didn't say you're always misplacing shit. You're always losing shit. I'm so fucking sick of this. Why can't you get your act together? The hairbrush goes on my side of the sink, right side, next to my toothbrush and makeup remover, and don't ever fucking move it again, because that's not what you're saying. You're asking where the hairbrush is because we only have one hairbrush right now because the dog ate the end of it. I don't have a fucking dog. So it's all made up. But that happens to people, and especially with borderline. Hey, you're being kind of sensitive right now.
Damn you right.
How, oh my God. Am I being mean? Does he hate me? Is he going to leave? How am I being mean? What did I do? Was my tone bad? Like, you have all of these things that run through your head and you become the problem because you take it as criticism and contempt versus, hey, I want to work through this with you right now. You're being overly sensitive. Let's switch to emotional logic brain thinking, right? Because it comes down to the way that you're able to talk to your person. Hey, I need to be an asshole right now because I don't know how to fucking say this to you without being an asshole. Buckle in. We're going to just throw this shit. Right. So that's where all of that was going. And that was a much longer verbalized than thought out.
Right. Because, you can think like 1,000 words a minute.
Yeah.
Or 1,000 words a second. Something like that. Yeah. Sometimes I think in pictures. So it goes by super, super quick, like a really fast wheel. Then I have to catch up with my words.
It's like a viewfinder for me.
Yeah.
And it's like the same 12 pictures.
I like that yours just clicks.
Yeah. Food, money, booty. Not in that order.
I was about to say, why am I last? I should be 2 of those, actually, because I'm your favorite snack.
There's like 12 pictures on that thing. So it's the same 3 on repeat. It's just randomized.
Gotcha. Okay. Picture of the burgers better not look better than me.
No. I'll buy both of them. Just sadly, though.
I was about to say, if you just have my crying picture as one. No, I would accept that. That photo is really good of me. For those of you who don't know and want a shirt of my face crying, check out redpillthreads.com. Use the code TOBEBETTER to get 10% off your order.
I can't believe people are willing to wear your face on a t-shirt of you crying.
Me either. Honestly, the picture looks so good. I would put it on like an album cover. I might make it the cover of my book.
It's not a podcast. It'll be just cries. An autobiography.
So, Red Pill Thread, guys. Redpillthreads.com. Use the code TOBEBETTER. Get 10% off your order. You can have my face crying on it. All of this has come to the point where just 2 days ago, he expressed mid-tense conversation that he doesn't like me asking, how are you? Because he feels that it comes from a place of negative assumption on my part that some are wrong.
This is
that
all
something is wrong?
This is all unresolved bullshit.
It is.
They need therapy.
They do need therapy. Because I get that asking, how are you feeling? And receiving it when somebody asks because they're assuming something is wrong or something is negative.
Right.
Because living in that situation, so I know for a fact that I have put people in that situation where me asking them how they're feeling is always a negative thing because I thought they were mad at me or I thought they were leaving me. It was never from a place of genuinely asking, like, how are you just feeling right now? Being on the receiving end of that and being the person who receives that how are you in a negative tone every single time it's asked, my personal experience, first it kicks in fight or flight because I know there's going to be confrontation or an argument after that's asked because my answer will never be the right answer. You okay? Mm. And then it is the here we fucking go again. Like I can't believe this is the 8th time this week. I'm so exhausted. So I can understand that. Not wanting to be asked because it always feels like it leads to a negative conversation.
Right.
Do you have anything you want to add to that?
Nope.
Okay. So my question to the emailer is, every time you ask, is it a negative thing? Because as somebody with borderline, that is something that I had to get under control and I had to, I think TikTok just ended on me. Oh, my phone died. There was 1,000 people watching.
Well, hopefully they went to YouTube. Is your phone not plugged in?
No, it's not. I forgot to plug it back in. That sucks. Well, sorry, guys. And I lost my train of thought. Back to the email. I do admittedly ask when things seem off, but not in an obvious way or neutral, and I just want to check on his well-being because I love him. So she just admitted she only asks when there's something negative going on. I ask you all the time. We were embraced in a hug and we were kissing. I looked at you. I was like, how are you feeling today, babe? How's your mental?
Well, that's because we don't have weekly check-ins. We have them all the time.
Right. But when you're going to ask somebody how they're feeling, it should be just a genuine, I want to know if you're good. I want to know if you're anxious. I want to know if you're celebrating something. Did you have a win today? Did you have a lose today? Her admitting that she asks in a not obvious way just to check on his well-being because there's something that seems off in the room.
That's also a borderline trait. That is a borderline trait.
It is. If you're only asking me how I'm feeling when you are perceiving something negative in the room, don't ask me how I'm feeling. If I don't matter the rest of the time and you only care about me when you think that there's something going on, don't ask.
Why? Why not ask?
Because I would want to be asked about my life too. That's a self-preservation thing. You're asking me because you're worried about what's going on inside of you. And that's a really shitty thing to say. As somebody with borderline, I have done that. I want to matter all the time, not just when you're going through it.
Very valid. And I agree with all of that.
Yeah.
But and, because I'm not negating what you said, that's very valid. However, asking probing questions to understand better how to read the room is going to prevent training people to feel the way that they feel, right? So, and we talked about this a lot recently, even. I think it might have even already dropped.
Yeah, I think it did.
But when you have that, you're angry. I'm not fucking angry right now. Like, you keep saying I'm angry and it's making me angry. That's a very different conversation than, are you going to hook your TikTok back up?
I am. There were 1,000 people watching.
That's funny. Having that conversation and going, I can tell something's off or you're not right now. Can you explain to me what's happening so that I understand what it is? And then I won't assume that you're angry, or I won't assume that you're wanting to leave, or whatever it is that they are assuming in the moment. Having that conversation repeatedly will train that person to go, okay, this body language represents this specific thing. But if you go, what's going on? And they go, nothing.
Right.
And nothing is ever resolved. It's just going to solidify that something's not right. I might be the problem. Fear.
So I agree with everything that you just said as well. So the probing questions that I would ask in that situation is not what's going on with you or how are you feeling. It's, hey, I just noticed you did that thing. What are you thinking right now?
Right.
What does that body action correlate to in your brain so I can understand you better?
James Armstrong just said that. He said, wait. Though with my ASD, I have to ask these things in order to understand and better read the situation. Yeah. This is data gathering.
Yes, it is.
For people who have any type of social awkwardness, whether it's autism, Asperger's, any on the spectrum at all, borderline, people who just don't interact with people very much, you ask probing questions so that you can learn and understand. What?
I just went to go adjust my glasses on my face.
Because you can't see?
Because I can't see. I can't believe I just did that. That's hilarious.
Yep.
Oh yeah, resume live. Heck yeah.
All right, let's get back to the email.
All right. My phone died, guys. Sorry about that. We're back now. Back into the email. He has a tendency to shove his feelings down and has always made jokes about him being a bit of a robot with only one feeling.
Anger.
Probably, yeah.
Because
anger.
he was never taught otherwise.
Right. Especially in the past year, I try to be a safe space to communicate, but he doesn't want any of that. So I said I would stop asking, how are you? But how was your day? And how did you sleep? Are still okay. All right. So as somebody with borderline personality disorder, this is not a bad thing. So he is still okay with you asking him how he's doing because he wants you to check on him. I take this as he still wants to be loved and checked on by you.
Right.
The how are you is a negative thing for him now. And I hate to say this, it's probably because of your actions.
It's trained, right?
It's trained behavior. So now we're going to focus on the how are you, and we're going to get to the root of that. So if I was in this person's shoes, I would approach my husband and be like, okay, so we've had conversations, and now I know how are you is off limits for you. And I know you said it's because you feel like I have a negative assumption. Can we actually really, I want to deep dive this and problem solve it because I care about you. And me asking how are you is a problem for you. I don't want it to be. And that could be a gateway conversation into all of the other things that are going on because now the conversation is going to lead into his feelings versus you possibly defending your actions or that wasn't my intention or I was just trying to love you. When I think of a grown man mocking somebody or rolling his eyes or heavily sighing, that's not a man. Like that man is disconnected.
It's childish behavior.
It is. You don't do that. And you don't do that because you are fulfilled and you are happy and you genuinely feel compassion and love and support and loyalty from me.
I don't do that because I know how to articulate what I'm going through.
Right.
If I start to feel anything out of the ordinary with you, anything,
right,
I'm going to tell you. The moment that I feel it, because I don't want it to become a snowball. I don't want it to become 5 other things that is stacked on top of this one thing that annoyed me, that makes me feel all of these things. And then 6 months from now, I can't even figure out why I felt this way because I didn't discuss it in the moment. because I don't remember what it was that you did, but you fucking did it. So I'm gonna harbor some resentment towards you for it. Like,
Right.
we're not doing that. I'm going to tell you immediately, like, hey, this bothers me. I don't like this. We can have a discussion about it.
Right.
And then I'm going to forget about it because we had the discussion about it and I don't have to think about it anymore.
We've also cultivated that between us, though.
Right.
Cultivated.
With the check-ins.
Right. Back to the email. My intentions might have been good, but it makes him feel bad, so I'll stop. That
Is also childish.
Yes, that's a problem for me. The I'll stop.
Yeah.
No, because now we're just sweeping it under the rug and we're ignoring everything. This is a Band-Aid fix to sepsis in the body. Gotta get some.
It's withdrawing. You're withdrawing.
Right.
You are removing a part of yourself from the relationship. That is me. I do that. Well, I just won't fucking do that anymore then.
Yeah.
That has been my answer to a lot of things because I don't want to fight.
Yeah.
I don't want to argue. I don't want to have, disruptions. So if I do something that's a problem, fuck it. I'm the problem. I'm just not going to do that.
Yeah.
That doesn't solve anything. I don't understand. I probably don't understand the real root of what's going on because on a superficial level, we haven't really touched it. A lot of conversations will be, I'm at point 1 and you're at point 6 and 7, and I don't understand how we're getting here, but I can tell you're frustrated. And because I did point 1, regardless of 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, I'm just not going to do that anymore.
Well, you need to tell me that you're still at point 1. Like just saying, I don't understand what's happening.
Right. I do that.
Right. I know you do.
I'm speaking on that behavior.
Yeah.
What she's doing, that withdrawing, is how I've always handled conflict
I know.
when in relationships.
Every once in a while, it peaks back up.
I know
like,
it does.
No, we're not doing that.
It's my self-defense mechanism.
I know.
I'm the problem, so I'm just not going to be the problem. I won't be here. I'm going to leave you before you leave me. Like,
right. And in moments
that's the
like that,
extreme of that.
I talk you off of it. It's very rare that it happens.
Now.
It is very rare that it happens now, but it does happen every once in a while. If you've had a very overwhelming day and everything at the tattoo shop is bad and shit's going on with equipment and somebody just canceled for an interview with the podcast and you're scrambling with shit and one of the kids had a bad day at school, so now we have to discipline. And then I hit you with something and I'm just not going to do that again. I go, no, babe, you are not the problem here. This is not the answer. We need to talk about this and find the solution because it's not that I want you to stop doing what you're doing or what you did was wrong.
We need to understand what's actually happening.
There has to be a conversation on it.
Yep.
A lot of people would take that person and be like, well, fine, fuck you. We're not going to have a conversation about it. It is what it is. And that's what she's doing. She's letting the conversation go and I'm just going to stop it. Back to the email.
Real quick before you do that, Holly said, what does becoming a sponsor mean? So anybody that sponsors, that becomes a member on YouTube, it says sponsors the channel. If you become a member on YouTube, if you become a live stream and early access, you will get live stream Patreons most of the time. And sometimes we will release early member access content. But for the most part, if you want to subscribe and help us and like really truly support the channel, do it through Patreon. You are going to get so much shit through Patreon. You get the Discord channel, which is an entire fucking community of people. If you're in the Discord and you play video games, you get to play video games with us from time to time. We do a lot.
We do a lot.
There's exclusive Patreon content, lots of early releases. There's been interviews that we've released on Patreon that we weren't even sure we were going to release to the public. Some of them still haven't been released to the public. So if you want to support the channel, doing both is super dope. We appreciate that. Doing it on YouTube just shows like, hey, you guys get to see I'm a sponsor. You get a little special badge.
Yeah.
I think you get special emotes.
Do they?
Yeah.
Ooh, how exciting.
Yep. And then obviously Twitch has the same thing. If you become subscribers, I believe you get access to emotes. I have to be honest, I don't know much about Twitch. Lorna's the Twitch aficionado.
I play Call of Duty and make jokes.
Yeah. Well, we're going to be getting into some
Phasmophobia.
Some horror game. Can we get back to the email? I'm not comfortable
Assistant.
with this. I don't want to play horror games.
Outlast.
The Trials.
So exciting. Okay. Tonight, after getting the kids to bed by 8 p.m., I walked into our room to see that he was curled up under the covers. When we hang out at night, it's always in our room. So I asked, are you going to bed? And he said, I definitely could go to bed.
I have to pause you again. Sorry, this is an apothecary question. Somebody asked if you're doing the apothecary stuff on Patreon. Apothecary content is hit or miss because we keep recording shit that we don't like.
Yeah, I am. So I am very disorganized. I don't plan videos, guys. My husband literally handles almost everything behind the scenes. I don't touch the cameras. I don't plan interviews with guests. Like, I might come on here and be like, hey guys, I thought about this and do a little spiel, or I can do a book breakdown. That's easy as shit. Setting up things to do a video, making sure I have all my ingredients ready. I don't script anything. And I am flying by the seat of my pants, especially with the apothecary things, because I am not teaching people anything. I am documenting my journey of learning to take care of my family.
We are changing that when we get back from Arizona. There will be set lists for when you do kitchen content, because we have a kitchen now in the studio, a big one. But we will be doing cooking content. A lot of that will be going to Patreon. Any apothecary stuff goes to Patreon. If you are in the ultimate tier of Patreon, which is the $30 tier, you have early access to everything that we do. I just created a link on our website yesterday that is for Patreon only. And when we do exclusive drops, you will get a password to access all of that a day or two early. And your soaps, which we will be releasing early April, the last week of the month. So next week sometime.
Yeah. So I am actually getting ready to record a video. Oh, wait. I don't know how I'm going to do that. I'll have to figure that out. But I'm going to be doing a behind the scenes. I'm currently packaging everything for the soap line. All of the products
take the
here.
vlogging camera home.
Okay. It looks so good. What did you think of the packaging, babe?
It's cool.
You think it's very simplistic?
Yeah, but it's nice jars. They're not just round jars. Like you've done a lot. Let's get back to the email. I didn't want that to not be answered.
Okay. Alrighty. I said, well, let me know what you decide what you're actually going to do.
Go to bed.
Why would that be your response? My response would have been like, yeah, me too, babe. I'm exhausted. Today was a long day. Are you getting drinks?
I am. Would you like a drink?
I would love a drink, please.
You want water or a Coke Zero?
I'll take a Coke Zero.
I was trying to be sneaky.
Oh, you just got one already?
Why I put the camera on, but you just blew up my spot. Now everybody fucking knows that I'm not sitting there while you're reading an email. I'm a really bad podcast host. Thanks, babe. Thanks.
I really like him in basketball shorts, guys. That's my defense. I don't even remember what I was saying. What was I saying?
We were talking about the email, which we're going to get right back into.
Is it the email? Oh, okay. Well, let me know what you decide you're actually going to do. I'm going to be honest. My knee-jerk reaction is that's that's an out of the side of your neck statement.
I agree.
You could have literally said anything else. Like I said, I've been like, me too, babe. Long fucking day. I can't wait to cuddle you. Let me be a little spoon. I wouldn't even have said anything. I would have literally walked into bed and just curled up next to you. Get underneath that blanket.
Right. Why not do that?
Right.
Kids are in bed.
Yeah.
What do you got to lose? Watch TV in bedroom.
Yeah.
It never fucking ends.
Never ends.
Keep going.
Keep like reading?
Yep.
I went into the bathroom, which is connected to our room. There's nobody at the door. Do, 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 do.
What if it was ice maker?
Maybe. I then went into the bathroom, which is connected to our room, with the door open like usual to brush my teeth. He came in to use the toilet, and mid-teeth brushing, he asked how much caffeine I had today, going for exact, and said that he didn't understand how I could not be tired, and yet I didn't sleep very well. So I had to remind him of a recent week where I slept like shit and was exhausted every day because of it. If not, it's not as if I am immune to tiredness. Then he said, I guess I just can't catch up on the weekends. Boom, right there. Opportunity for me to go, babe, I know. I get that you're tired. Thank you for working the way you're working. I love you. I'll kiss you as you're peeing. Right on the forehead.
You
love
get
you,
peed
babe.
on that way, but...
Not if he's sitting down. Yeah, like tuck it, right?
Not everybody has my jewelry, babe.
Does it just...
Most men stand.
Really?
I don't, because it's like a sprinkler head. Oh, we're live. I can't cut that.
You forgot?
We're just having a conversation. I'm over here eating my fucking cheese and crackers with my soda. I'm having a good time.
I love that we're having a good time, though. I love you.
I love you too. You know that nobody can catch up on sleep.
No,
it's
nobody.
not possible.
It's not. You can't sleep more to make up for what you lost 2 days ago.
Right.
You just get into a routine. So I would have taken that opportunity where he says, I guess I just can't catch up on the weekends. I get it, babe. You work hard. Thank you for doing what you do.
Yep.
He gets up at 5 a.m. every day, and lately I've been sleeping till 6 a.m. However, once he gets up, I don't usually get any more real sleep, and I'm working on getting back into the habit of getting up with him. Love that idea. There was a lull in the conversation as he undressed for bed and he laid down while I finished brushing my teeth. I came over to my side of the bed to put socks on, and he asked, "What are you going to do?" And I said, "I don't know." I didn't feel like playing video games. He always tells me staying up and being in the room with lights on, etc., doesn't bother him. Then I decided that I was going to grab my headphones and either sit in the living room — his sister lives with us and her bedroom is right next to the living room — or sit in my car, which is my usual safe and quiet place, so I can watch stuff, your podcast, on my phone.
She's isolating away from him.
Yeah.
That's a problem. Like, that would tell me that you don't want to be here, or like I'm the problem because you're putting both headphones in
And going somewhere else.
or going to sit in your car to get away from everyone.
Yeah.
I can sleep with the TV on. I turn the TV off after I fall asleep because when it gets loud, I know it wakes you up. But I could sleep all night long with the TV on. Wouldn't bother me a bit.
Yeah, usually around 3 or 4 a.m. When I wake up, I'm up. So if the TV wakes me up around that time frame, I'm not going back to bed.
Right.
You're right. I was going to comment as well that not going to bed together is a massive separation between you guys. Also, the sister living with you, why is that a thing? Because having anybody in the home that is not part of the immediate family is going to be 100% some sort of intimacy killer, stress inducer, cortisol raising situation. I got my side of the bed ready for when I came back, so I won't need the light on again. He saw this and asked what I was doing. I told him my plan. He then asked what was wrong.
See?
I'm going to be honest. All of this, it sounds like he's really just trying to have a conversation with her. She came into the room. He was in bed comfortable. She says, "What are you doing?" She asked, "Are you going to go to bed?" And he was like, "I could totally go to bed right now." And then she said, "Well, let me know what you're actually going to do." She goes into the bathroom. He gets up, goes into the bathroom, which I view that as a request for connection because we are now in the same room again.
One of you followed the other one in.
Right. And now he has asked twice, "What do you got going on?" I always like to add babe when I'm asking you a question, just to remove any possibility of, oh, that was a shitty tone.
Yeah, it's no different than an LOL at a text message.
Right. Or sit out of the side of her neck. So, hey, babe, what do you plan on doing? Where are you going? So he's definitely inquiring. Could he be a little bit more sweet about it? Yeah. But I view that as definitely trying to connect with you. Going on, I said, I have had a lot on my mind lately with how things have been between us. I have been trying to work through stuff and figure things out, and I still feel fairly clueless. Excuse me. His annoyance became immediately visible as he was starting to initiate shutdown mode, all the while telling me how he was trying to go to bed.
Well, we just got a $50 super chat, and that warrants an interruption. However, there's no text attached to it. So as you read, I'm going to continue looking for the text that Bree is going to post after she sent that super chat.
I see text.
Do you?
It says giant pear character.
Right, because there's an emoji attached to it, or an animated GIF.
Okay.
On Bree's stream, it shows you a description of what it is.
Oh, gotcha. Holy shit, we have 534 people watching us on YouTube.
Yep.
Thank you, guys. Almost 800 people on TikTok. This is so fun.
Yeah, 32 on Twitch.
That 32 on Twitch. Oh, look at that. Thank you guys for watching on Twitch. This is so cool. All right, before I forget what I was going to say. So she included everything he said verbatim until she got to the point of him becoming annoyed and shutting down. Just saying that how he was trying to say, I'm going to go to bed. He was trying to go to bed. Everything else was direct quotes from him. So why was that left out? In my mind, the way that this conversation has been going and the way that you've been laying out this email, it is very suspicious to me that you would leave out what he says in quotes after you said what you've said. Because you go on to quote yourself on what you responded to him with. That's just very odd to me. It's suspicious. I said, whoa, you're asking me a question, and I answered, which is something you dislike my not doing.
Pause. Bree said, you guys are amazing. I appreciate all the work you do. You make so many lives easier. Y'all rock.
Oh, thank you
for that.
That
was the super chat. Thank you for the super chat.
It's appreciated.
Real shit, you guys giving supers in our Patreon is what's kept this podcast alive.
It has. Without it, I would be a tattoo artist.
Yep. We wouldn't be doing this.
No, I would be a full-time tattoo artist. Or a stay-at-home mom still. I said, whoa, you asked me a question, and I answered, which is something you dislike me not doing. Not answering? Okay. Now that I answered your question, you're annoyed about that. Things happened really fast at this last part, and I know he said something in there about how he only asked how I was because I mentioned sitting in the car, and that the car is your go-to spot when something is wrong, which is factual. Okay. So he knows something is wrong. You're acknowledging something is wrong. You're going to your car because there is something is wrong. He asked you what's going on, and you said, I had a lot on my mind lately with how things have been between us. Fair statement. All right?
Wait, hold on. So, switch, damn it. This whole conversation started off with him telling her how exhausted he was and that he could go to bed right now.
Right.
Knowing that he's exhausted, was already laying in bed. Now the conversation is happening.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Damn, you right. Yeah. Laying in bed saying I could go to bed right now.
Right.
I've been trying to work through stuff and figure things out, and I still feel fairly clueless. My response would have been, because my husband just gave a totally different perspective. I wasn't even thinking about that the husband said he was tired at the beginning of this. My response would have been, I just need some decompression time. I'm going to go sit in the car, listen to whatever I want to listen to, maybe listen to the wind, and just unwind before I come to bed. That would have been my response, because you are bringing up something that could lead to an argument right as this man is ready to go to bed.
Right.
You just say, I'm processing a lot. Got a lot on my mind. I'll let you know when I work through it.
Yeah, I'm going to work through it and we're going to discuss it.
Yeah.
Don't worry, it's not you. I just need to understand what's going on.
Yep. I would come out here to have my episodic. Oh my gosh. I would come out here, meaning the car, to have my episodic mental meltdown so I could cry in peace. Oh, I do that too. Yep. Yep. Especially at night. Of course, I felt I had to defend myself at every turn. Okay, no, so not of course. You're saying of course because you're living in fight or flight. You felt the need to defend yourself at every turn. So I explained why the car is a good choice. He said, so do you want to talk now or can I go to bed? Sigh. I said, I'm just responding to you. I'll leave you alone. I left the room.
So, so did we just have an emotional cock tease? Is that
That
what,
is really what that was. Yeah.
right? That's exactly what that was.
That's exactly what that was. I view that as picking a fight.
And then going, but we'll deal with it later.
Yeah.
We're gonna just passively aggressive, let you know that you're the fucking problem, and then we'll walk away.
Yeah. As two people with borderline personality disorder.
That's exactly what that was.
That's exactly what that was. Yeah. Like I said, you have to, oh, what book was I listening to? I can't remember. The author said that you need to pick and choose the things that you share with your partner. If it is not something that can be resolved immediately or within the next 10 or 15 minutes, keep it to yourself until you're able to process what's going on. Because like in this example where she said, I have a lot on my mind lately between us. I'm feeling clueless. I don't know what's going on. Okay, so are you bringing this up to have this conversation, or are you just saying it to say it?
I don't remember what book that was, but I'm almost positive that's on our reading list because I've also read that book.
I think it is on our reading list. So I resumed episode 212. I'm sorry, season 2, episode 12. What episode are we on for season 2?
That just dropped on Monday.
I feel like we just did episode 1.
No.
Oh my
I can tell
goodness, this
you. 12.
is crazy.
I'm posting clips from 13 right now. So, oops, that's not my calendar. That was 212 dropped on the 18th. So it just dropped.
Wow. That's dope. Okay. So I resumed episode 212, about requests for connection. And man, oh man, did I start sobbing when I was able to relate to it. I can't tell you how many times I've tried starting a conversation with him and he think that it was stupid or have no point and then tell me that either directly or indirectly with his visible irritation.
That's an assumption. The directly telling you is not an assumption.
Right, but indirectly
Right.
is an assumption.
It is.
Okay, so you just said that you could relate to the request for connection. I have to text Nana real quick. I didn't think we'd be going for this long.
No worries. I'm enjoying myself, so.
Device added to your account? Let me take a little peekaboo at this real quick. Oh, it's my other iPhone. Okay. Nana.
I think that while she's doing that, it's important to know that when you assume anything with your person without having clarifying, probing questions, you are going to create problems because you are going to be viewing the conversation through your lens, no different than receiving a text message. If you're at work and you have a coworker that annoys the fuck out of you and you're already angry and then your boss tells you, I need to talk, and now you're angry and anxious, and your person sends a message and says something and it's just a normal like, hey, you forgot to put pickles on my sandwich, right? That's going to be read as an attack.
Right.
You're going to assume that you're a problem. It's just one more fucking thing because you can't hear the tone. Right? Like,
Right.
So those things matter. You guys need to understand that when you are making assumptions as to way somebody else is feeling, remember earlier when when people are like, what's wrong? You're mad. I can tell you're mad. Are you
Right.
mad? How fucking annoying that is and how eventually you will become mad because they keep saying that shit. This is no different.
Right.
You have to probe and ask.
So what I was saying before I remembered I had to text Nana. So you said that you were able to relate to that request for connection and that not being fulfilled. If your request for connection is what you just did in your example of that night before you went to the car, that is not how you request connection.
Right. Zach said you make statements about yourself and you ask questions about your partner.
Yep.
Brother Zach, preach it.
I'm glad we have Zach.
Me too.
I like playing Call of Duty with you guys. Back to the email.
Yes.
I feel like a dog waiting for scraps of food at times. And when I initiate and try, it usually backfires. I would say it backfires because you don't know how to properly articulate what is happening. And we've already covered a lot of things, so I'm not going to redive all of that. But
Right.
everything that we've said, I think, will help with the communication aspect of things, like I said, especially with borderline, I give myself at least a week before I go to my husband with a vast majority of things, especially if it's personal things within my life that doesn't affect his life or our marriage, just to make sure it's actually worth having the conversation, because my emotions can get so haywire. I'm not going to bring you a hurricane if it's literally just calm the fuck down.
Right.
Right?
Off topic. Somebody sent popcorn in the chat as like a comment. And it reads on the restream chat because it's pulling Twitch and YouTube in together.
Yeah.
Popcorn dash yellow striped smile. Popcorn yellow striped smile. The way that it describes the emojis is fun.
That's fun.
All right.
All right. Naturally, I've tried getting him to watch your content at adding capacity, but he just sounds like one of your haters with the stuff he says, downplaying your advice because you don't have the letters behind your names.
Ooh, I love that. Downplay it.
Downplay it. I mean, the people with the letters behind their names have kind of fucking failed you guys.
Yeah, let's talk about the difference between life experience and theoretical experience.
Right.
Yeah, how's that working for us as we have more meds being pushed out than ever before? We are sicker than we've ever fucking been. Divorce is at an all-time high.
Yeah.
Domestic violence is at an all-time high. Yeah, we're doing real fucking good with those letters behind their names, aren't they?
Yep.
Man, we're fucking winning. Let's go, society.
That's actually precisely why we haven't received people saying,
I was muted.
I've received more from you guys than I have in 10 years of therapy.
I muted my mic, guys, because I was coughing and forgot to unmute it.
Oh, you muted?
That's all right.
Oh, I'm so sorry, babe. Did you guys hear it?
No, I don't think they did. That's okay.
Oh, how unfortunate.
I've been trying to not cough in the mic.
Yeah. Okay, back to this.
Yeah.
I think that it's stupid. And I am one of the people out there who have gained more tools from you two than therapy ever gave me. So when you guys send your response to my super chat to ask why he is so annoyed, I have. Okay, so you have. He said that you are sensitive and... What?
They're like, we can't hear you. Somebody was like, it sounded like you were talking to the bottom of the trash can. And then Aloha
funny.
Snack Bar was like, it was a good thing you were yelling because we still heard you.
I mean, 800 people on TikTok heard you.
That's funny.
Oh, no. What did I just read? What did I just read? Where'd it go?
Oh, man.
Tonight, after getting the kids bed. Oh, fuck. Okay, there it is. So you have. So from what I remember and recollect from the email, he's annoyed because you asking him, how are you, has negative undertones. You're sensitive. And you bring up conversations in inopportune times. So we know why he is annoyed. Have we done anything to change why he is annoyed?
But why should she have to be the one to change everything? Because she can only change her and he can only change him?
Right.
No.
Now, if the husband was emailing into us, we would be telling the husband how he could change. He's not, though. And as my husband said, the wife can't do anything to change him. So all we can do is change our actions and change our mindsets. And if that person does not want to reciprocate, then there's your sign. It's time to let go. And here's your sign. Oh my gosh, I'm so old. Do you guys remember that? Many times over the years, and the only answer I can come up with is that it's just who he is, in addition to my thoughts that maybe we aren't just good for each other. Yo, that's crazy. I read an email from your life, and I have better understanding of why your husband's annoyed versus you. And you've been with him for 6 years. Am I accurate to say that?
I mean, so we have her outside perspective with details,
Right.
and it's a whole lot easier for us looking in to see what's going on than
Right.
her who's living it, because she's living it through her cognitive bias and her borderline. So yeah, I mean, it's everything that you said is very fair and very very accurate, but for her,
Could be accurate.
could be
accurate.
I believe
Assumptions.
I believe that it is accurate because I have borderline and I've lived that life. I know what that fucking feels like. However, if he's not willing to take steps to grow and learn and evolve with you, I would go as far as to say that it just goes to show how much he actually gives a shit. This is the reading between the lines.
Yeah.
If you were like, babe, I need you to read this microwave instruction manual because on page 8, chapter 7, line 3, there's a fucking golden nugget and it could save our marriage. But if you don't read the entire thing, you're not going to understand page 8, chapter 3, whatever I said.
Super thick into this manual.
I'm going to read that manual. It's going to take me 15 minutes of my day. Who gives a fuck?
Right.
So if watching a 2-hour podcast may help somebody
not live the way they're living,
why would you not take that? If somebody was like, yo, I'll give you $1 million right now, or I'll show you how to make $1 million, but it'll take you a year to do it.
and then after that, you can make $1 million every year.
Right. Most people would take that $1 million right now because they don't have to work for it.
Right.
Because we don't want to do the work. It's too fucking hard to spend that year working on me to get to that point. So.
Yep. Back to the email.
Yep.
I feel like I've been sitting on him this entire time. Oh, I feel like I've been shitting, forgot the H, on him this entire time. So let me describe his good qualities. 1, he is an amazing father, even to our oldest, who isn't actually his. He was great with her from day one, and he is actually just about to finish putting together a swinger playhouse he got with tax money this year so that they can have a nice place to play. That is such a good investment.
Yep, we have one.
That little, we call it the playground at our house. The kids get super excited about it. I love seeing the kids outside. Number 2, he has a strong work ethic, and I never have to worry about him calling off or missing bills. We share, I just want to touch on that real quick. A man who shows up to work and does not call off all the time and always has an excuse. Babe, I appreciate that you have the dedication and the discipline to continue working the way you do, even when you're tired.
I'm glad that I'm appreciated. Can you reiterate the point so far? Good father?
Good father. Strong work ethic.
Strong worker.
Adventurous. While also being a homebody. They enjoy being together. So he enjoys being around her. And
Which
then
is contradictory to everything
that she said
in the email. So we're not going to count that one because I call bullshit.
Right. She said, when things are good, our location does not matter as long as we're together.
Which could also be a symptom of your borderline.
It could be.
Okay. We're going to ignore that one too.
Okay. Number 4, he's very funny. He makes her laugh.
Okay. It's funny.
They agree on core values like religion, parenting, and political issues.
Okay.
And they share long-term goals for retirement.
Same goals.
The emotional component that is very hit or miss is taking its toll and making life harder as time goes on. I need guidance. I also know I can't be the only one trying to be better and grow. He is resistant to change in many ways. I am confident he would stay with me if things continue to be this way because he downplays my concerns, asking if my goal in life is to not annoy him. Which I get the sentiment, but it's been taken way too far. I desperately want to save this, and I refuse to bring up the idea of breaking up until I am certain of it, and I've exhausted all avenues.
She said breaking up and not divorce. So are they not married?
She said they've been married for 2 years.
Okay. Can we go back to the quality?
Well, this is the last 2 sentences.
Okay.
You guys are my last hope. Please help.
The qualities of her man. He's a good father. Mm-hmm. Strong worker, adventurous, funny, has the same values and goals as she does. Mm-hmm. No love. Where's the love?
Right.
We love each other. He's a protector. Didn't get any of that. He's a good father, a strong worker, adventurous, funny, core values, and goals. That's not enough. If you were to describe who I am as your husband to another person and that's all you gave them, I have failed.
Yeah. On the flip coin, if somebody asked you the good qualities about me and you said, I take good care of the house, I can cook well, and I'm a good mom.
It's not enough.
Yeah, I would be like, okay, so what about the rest of me?
Right.
And funny, yeah, she said he was funny.
That just seems like a lackluster scenario for me.
Yeah,
I like that she said he's a good father. That's super gangster.
that is good.
And a strong worker. That's good too.
Mm-hmm.
I love him. Though we have our shortcomings, blah, blah, blah.
I can't imagine life without him.
Right.
On my darkest days, he's the light at the end of the tunnel.
So here's a challenge for everyone who's watching if you're feeling up to it. Make a list of the good qualities your person has and see how they differ from the 6 that was just listed.
Are we doing? Holy shit, we're close to 100,000 likes on TikTok.
Wow.
That's
Yuki caught it.
crazy.
Yuki and Twitch caught it. She's only seen what he does for her and not him as a person.
Yep.
That was it. You guys don't have to make the list now. She figured it out.
That's it.
It's been fun, guys. See you on the next one.
All right, so Yuki's taking over the podcast, guys?
Yeah. You guys can find Yuki on her channel. I don't know where it is, but she's taking over now, guys.
When the grasshopper passes the mentor.
Yeah.
That was so beautiful to see.
That's funny. All right. So let's read some super chats
Okay.
if they're in the Discord, because I haven't even checked. I'm assuming they are because our moderators are fucking incredible.
We just jumped up 10,000 likes on TikTok. We are 3,000 away. Thank you guys so much for the gifts. Thank you for all the hearts. Thank you for hanging out on TikTok.
All right. Sherry Rosenberg became an exclusive live stream member. Desk Clan for 13 months. As a member of the To Be Better, my business will be 1 year on April 1st. Thank you guys for everything y'all do. Sincerely, Desk Clan and family.
Good for you guys.
He is one of the people that I talk about the most when we talk about success stories from the podcast, because
He fucking did it.
I've got to watch everything from him just being an employee to fucking super proud of that dude.
Yeah.
Ashley just became early access. Jordan Smith for $20 said, it's been said that you can have a different relationship with the same person as long as you both choose to do the work. Do you feel like there would be differences in the course of building that if it's your child's other parent? No. I think that if both people are doing the work, are willing to do the work, you can have a new relationship with that person. People change. Sometimes it takes tragedy for people to change. Sometimes it takes life cock slapping you in the face to realize that you've been the problem. You don't know what it's going to be until it happens. But when that catalyst happens and that change is created, you look back and you go, oh, I really didn't like that. I really didn't like who I was. Holy shit, this new little bit of information changes my entire worldview. So I believe that anybody can change. I think that it just takes the right thing for that to be the case. Isabella Sturgis said, how can I support my husband in learning to communicate better? In the past, I was not amazing at it, and he has held on to it as a reason not to learn. So he's keeping score. I think the answer to that is to start having the conversations, and when the communication breakdown happens, stop the conversation. We need to explore this.
Right.
I need to understand this moment and what this is, and then we can resume the conversation. But until we get past why you worded it this way or what you're feeling or why you're feeling or whatever, we can't move the conversation forward. What was that?
We hit 130 likes on TikTok.
Nice.
130,000
Crazy.
likes. That's insane. Thank you guys for all of that.
She also wrote, he's unwilling to listen to the podcast or do the check-ins. So he just doesn't want to fucking do anything. Then there was another message sent that Heather caught that said, to go along with Isabella Sturgis, we've been married for almost 4 years. And the first 2 years, I was very nagging and would shut down if I felt defensive. So I understand his approach to me now. Within the last year, I tried check-ins. So you trained him on how to deal with you, and now you don't like the way he's dealing with you. You guys need to get a mediator and have the conversations, because the pettiness that he's showing you is not conducive to long-term. Your relationship, your friendship is not there. He's resentful.
We can do mediation instead of coaching.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it's kind of what we're doing. Bethany Baker said, oh, it's just XYZ mental health issue. You need to take your meds. Not only is that gaslighting, but can also be abuse depending on the situation. I agree with that. Holly said $5 imposter syndrome, so that I can be reminded of the conversation from Creeker Mariah that said, I have imposter syndrome and rejection sensitivity dysphoria because of my high functioning Asperger's autism. I wanted to touch on the imposter syndrome because we have that. However, we have 2.5 million followers across platforms, and we have 500,000 downloads a month just on our podcast through Spotify and Apple. If you are doing something on a professional level, even if you suck at it, you're not an imposter.
Right.
You're fucking doing the thing. So I want you to know, Creeker, if you're watching, your imposter syndrome, if you are doing whatever it is that you believe you're being an imposter of, you're doing it. That's more than most people will ever do, because a lot of people would rather sit around and talk about their wants and their dreams than chase their fucking goals.
We're getting a lot of subscribers on TikTok. Holy shit. I mean, on YouTube. Thank you guys for subscribing.
That is gangster. We're trying to hit 250,000, so the subs go a long way, guys.
We're at 544 people watching.
Hell yeah.
That's so dope. 36 on Twitch. Thank you guys for all the ticks. Thanks for the gifts and the likes on TikTok.
From Savannah, I need help. I found my husband is paying for online girls. When I confronted him, he went silent, hasn't talked or said I love you in days. Other than this, our relationship is amazing. Your relationship is not amazing.
It is not amazing.
There is a whole lot of underlying thing going on there. And if your partner is looking at other women or talking to other women, there is an attention deficit in the house. There is emotional needs probably not being met, sexual needs not being met, roommate phases possibly happening. There's a whole lot of underlying shit that's happening there. You are treating the symptom, or you're treating the symptom and not the disease.
Right.
So you need to figure out what the actual problem is and why these things are showing, because this is an alert system. Adriana Kimbrell said, you guys are amazing. Me and my husband watch you guys every day, and it has helped so much. Keep doing you. Thank you. Love you guys.
We love you guys too.
I'm going to switch this over here so you can read these.
Okay.
Started here.
We got to start wrapping it up in 10 minutes.
I know.
Okay.
That's fine. We're doing supers now. So
from Angel, I messed up. I want my woman back. Do y'all believe no contact works? I found y'all podcast too late.
If you went no contact, then it sounds to me like the relationship's already over. What do you mean it works? How is that a thing?
I would need an elaboration on that, yeah.
Right. That needs to be an email. Luna Page for $2.99 just sent a super chat.
Thank you for the first one on the live stream.
Yep. Sarah and Tina both became early member access. Bree, we read hers already. Des Cinderin. How do you know you're ready to move on after your SO passes away? Are there any signs that need to be looked for?
Oh, man.
I feel like we've talked about this with him in the past, but
yeah,
this comes down to, are you going to be able to emotionally invest in another person?
Without comparing them to who's passed.
You can compare.
I think if you're with somebody and they do something for you and like, oh, but I miss when she would do that for me.
Well, that's a little different.
That I don't think you're ready. If it still physically hurts you and you can't give your full energy to the person because you're still attached to somebody else.
Do you think that's attachment, or do you think that's just a memory, like a recognition of? I don't think that that's a problem.
I would say it's an attachment. It depends on the degree. At a certain point, it would become a problem for me. If every time I do something for you and it makes you a mess because it makes you think of the person that has passed away, I'm going to start feeling like shit because I'm going to be living in the shadow of somebody. I'm not going to be able to come out of that.
Well, that falls back onto being able to emotionally invest in another person.
Right.
I don't think there's anything wrong with reminiscing about the past.
I agree.
Samantha West sent a $5 super chat with nothing. Here you go, babe. Last one.
Just Call Me Joe said, relations have high and lows. Oh, relationships have highs and lows. When going through highs and lows, we have a story we tell ourselves during both. Did you hear that?
That was the AC. It gets loud.
Brains are wired to look for threat. The negative is always the easy to tap in. We got to become aware of the narrator in our head.
We have an entire episode on stories. That's on YouTube. It's on Patreon. You guys can find that pretty much everywhere.
All over the place. Another one from River Lace. I have a hard time communicating and I shut down when I feel like I'm not getting anywhere with them. How do I fix this?
That is part of being flooded. So without getting into too much, because we are going to be doing an entire episode on that tonight so that it can get uploaded in April, which will hit Patreon before then because they're getting these series early. Abandonment, I'm sorry, not abandonment. The withdrawal, attacking, and defending are all symptoms of flooding. You having a hard time communicating is probably what's causing you to flood because you're becoming overstimulated in the moment and you don't know how to articulate yourself and actually say what you need to say. It could be a fear thing. It could be a trauma response. It could be a whole lot of things in that. Getting past that, though, in order to fix it is going to be addressing the actual problem, where it came from. Maybe you have a traumatic childhood experience and that's just your go-to now because every time you did something, that was the response from your parents and it made you, this is my behavioral trait. Right? Once you understand what that is, getting past the flooding aspect becomes a whole lot easier because you can set up dams. Hey, this is a trigger for me. This is a trigger for me. And this is a trigger for me. And I know these triggers. So when it happens, you can go, wait a minute, pause. You can address the fact that this is not you living as a 12-year-old anymore. Move on to the next trigger, figure out what the problem is and go.
You want to hear something stupid?
And that's how you fix that. Sure.
I actually just experienced that in real time.
Did you?
So I looked over and I saw that you have a new chat on your Discord server. And
I don't.
Yes, you do. That red pill thread one?
That's a conversation.
Right. It's a new thing that's not there before. Right. I'm not accusing you of anything, babe. Like
it's not a new server. It's a message.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, it doesn't matter. I know what it is.
Well, it
right?
does because verbiage matters. It's not a new server or
Okay.
new thing. It's just it's a message from Garrett.
Okay.
So
well, either way.
Okay.
The bottom root of why I said it doesn't matter is because it doesn't matter. I trust you.
Okay.
But I looked over and I saw that and it triggered inside of me all the times that I've caught somebody cheating on me. I'm like, oh, he didn't tell me about this.
Well, Garrett's pretty hot.
You don't want to play that game, babe.
I kind of do because
You
it's funny to
don't.
watch you get worked up sometimes.
Because there will be casualties.
Uh-oh. That's funny.
But that's one of those moments where I had to go, okay, Chris is my husband, right? This is nothing foul. I trust my man. And I know that compounded with my borderline and the past experience of things, that really one of those moments, my heart fucking started going. I got palpitations a little bit and I had to take a step back and be like, you know what that is? You trust your husband.
That's funny.
But it literally just happened as you were talking about it.
Right. And you work through it and I will laugh at
and it happened in seconds. And you guys had no idea that it happened. You can get to the point to where it's just, you're over it. It just takes the work.
Yeah. Jordan Smith is the one who sent the super chat about the relationship with the co-parent, and they sent a follow-up that said, I meant, would you handle the courting process or dates differently? We have talked about, if we do, keeping it from our daughter until we go from courting to dating. I agree. I agree with the keeping it from the kid thing. Mm-hmm. I think the answer to that, though, is how long has it been since you guys were together? Mm-hmm. If it's been a year, that's very different than if it's been 2 months.
Right.
A lot can happen in a year. Mm-hmm. I read 300 books last year.
You did.
Right? Like, people tell me, you're not the same person you once were. I take that shit as a badge of honor. You don't recognize me anymore. I'm fucking winning, bro. Like, that growth is huge. Right?
Yeah.
So that's a big deal to me. So how long have you guys not been together? Mm-hmm. Is there a reason that you need to court again? Are you trying to resolve past conflict during your courting phase? Because it's not courting.
Right.
I think that should be separate from the courting phase. If you guys need to have mediation or have conversations outside, that needs to not be tainted with sex and emotion. It needs to be, this is the way I felt when these things were happening so that the other person can understand it and you can overcome that. Mm-hmm. But that needs to be kept separate from courting.
Yeah.
But I do agree you should keep it from your daughter until you know if your guys are going to actually try to make this work again. Jessica said...
Are these super chats still?
They are. Okay. Yeah, they're still coming in. We're going to wrap this up, guys, so don't send any more supers.
I need to leave in 3 minutes.
Jessica said, is being in a consistent state of overwhelmed and constantly having anxiety attacks a sign of BPD? I have an appointment so soon to address my mental health. No, it's not a sign of BPD. It could be
compounded with
a symptom, but it doesn't mean that you're going to have borderline. You can there's a 13 question quiz that you can find online that you can print out and take to your healthcare provider. and they might be able to help you diagnose with that, but you need to find somebody that specializes in borderline, because borderline looks like a whole lot of other things.
It does.
And it's misdiagnosed a lot. Smaller Than a Seed for $1.99 said, shout out for my man and y'all for helping our marriage. Hell yeah.
Oh, I love that.
All right, couple things because we have to wrap this up. We're not reading any more supers.
Okay.
Email time frames. Right now, I think we are into September of last year. I could be wrong. I know that we've cracked down a little bit on what we are rejecting. If you get a rejection, you should get a reason why it's been rejected. If you don't like the reason why it's been rejected, follow the instructions and resubmit your email.
Yes.
If you are a patron member, Patreon emails are getting priority. We also do Zoom calls through patrons. So if you we are not charging for them. If you want coaching calls through Patreon to have your email read with you on a Zoom call, it is only done through our Patreon community, and it is currently being used as content.
Yes, this is the trial period for our coaching.
Right, to get us to the coaching thing. Lastly, we are working on surveys to do a couples retreat or just a retreat in general. You don't have to be in a relationship. If you want to go somewhere with us, you can.
It's just about personal growth.
Right. There is a link in our bios on all of our social media, but it should be in our link tree on YouTube as well. There is a survey that you have to fill out. We are going to be cementing something within the next week. It could be for 2025. I don't know yet, but we are currently looking at Yellowstone and Venice, Italy. We're looking at Bali and Costa Rica. So if you are interested in those 4 places, definitely fill out that survey. You will have to pay for your flight, but everything else that is with that it's listed in the itinerary of what is and what is not included. So fill out the survey, let them know how you want to do that, and we will go from there. And then the soaps and bath care line drops in the beginning of April.
Yes, it does.
Meet and greet for Patreon will be in will be in May. And then Arizona meet and greet is next week.
Yes.
If you live in Arizona and you're in our Patreon, you need to get into that chat so we can get that going. What were you going to say?
I'm going to take so many stupid pictures if we go to a place with other people and we're doing a retreat.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? We're going to do staged photos. Let's go.
I want to, if we could go somewhere exotic, Bali, Costa Rica, I would like to do like a photography thing where I do a photography seminar, because there's a lot of people who want to learn photography that don't want to sit and fucking try to figure it out on YouTube. And I can do that. I could teach somebody to be a photographer in a day.
Yeah.
So can't teach them to edit that fast, but
I'll be your model for lighting and whatnot.
You damn right. All right. With that being said, guys, we have to go. Thank you for tuning in.
Yeah.
Make sure you subscribe to the channel, and we will see you when we get back from Arizona.
Bye, guys.